Around the same time that they announced Magny fighting Gaslam, they announced that they are going back to Newark January 30th. Fox, big Fox show during the NFL playoffs, so you know a lot of people will be watching. The main event is going to be Rumble Johnson versus Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader joining us right now on the phone. Ryan, how are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm good. You know, I as a guy who lives in New York and it's a Fox fight, I was like, oh, that's a really interesting fight in the light heavyweight division when it was announced. That's what I was thinking. But I said, man, I wonder how Ryan Bader feels about all of this. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show. Did you have to kind of be like, well, I guess, like, was this one of the fights where, yeah, it's a big stage, it's Fox, it's main event, but you aren't that happy that you're getting this opportunity because it's not what you ultimately wanted?
Yeah, kind of. When John Jones came back, I had it in the back of my head that they're going to do Cormier and Jones, and they want that fight. That sold big last time, but I still held out some hope, and we waited to kind of hear the word, basically, before we kind of, got on social media or whatnot. And so, they gave us a call and said, you guys want to fight Rumble in, January 30th, main event, Big Fox, so that lessens the blow a little bit. It's a huge platform, and, Rumble's ranked number one. And so, we keep going back to, like, this one's going to be it. Get through this one, and this one's it. So who knows, though? So if I got to beat everybody, that's what I got to do. I'll make it that much sweeter. But, I was kind of, disappointed, but at the same time, this is a huge fight, and it's what we're in the game for.
Did they have to convince you? Did you try holding out and saying, I'll just wait for the winner of Cormier Jones? Or because of the stage and the main event, all that, did you say yes right away?
No, they didn't have to convince me. We said yes right away.
What a good guy you are.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, looking at it from my viewpoint, nothing's guaranteed. No title shots are ever guaranteed. I'm going to sit there and wait. Cormier saying he doesn't even want to think about it or whatever till next year. And I had no clue when they're going to fight, maybe in April, maybe later. And then, what happens if the champ breaks his hand, gets hurt? Then right. I'm waiting even more. And I'm waiting for what? Maybe potentially getting a shot? You never know, and so they could throw somebody out. They could do Gustafson Jones too, You never know what's going to happen. So for me, that was my thought process, and said, hey, I'll take the fight. It'll get me, hopefully and obviously that much closer, beating a guy like Rumble, who's ranked number one right now. And, so that was our thought process.
Did they say to you, okay, if you beat this guy, there's no one else, and you will finally get that title shot? Has that been said?
I didn't talk to Just Silva directly, but my manager did, and I think it was alluded to, if my process of elimination, there's no one else.
Yeah. But
and so I think that's all was said, and so take that for what it's worth.
As well as anyone at this point, crazier things have happened, right? So I guess you're not hanging your hat on that until you get that contract whenever that time comes.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, what I can do is, if I want to keep fighting, being active, and I'm 32 years old, and I'm right there. I have great momentum going right now. Everything's good in my life, so I'm not going to sit around and wait potentially a year, perhaps, and not fight, on the basis of maybe getting a title shot. So it's just kind of, as far as what I went through, like the last couple fights and talk about it and this and that. And I'm just kind of done thinking about it. It'll happen when it happens, and all I can do is go out there and beat that guy, beat Rumble now. So that's it.
Has that been part of the change for you in a good way, that you have stopped obsessing over the belt? And I've heard this before, that once guys do that, they really start to enjoy great success. Like, you stop worrying about what you have to do in the road. Has that happened to you as well?
Yeah, for sure. There's that pressure of always thinking ahead and always, what do I got to do to get there? And those big letdowns, I thought I was fighting Cormier for sure. Even Cormier thought we were fighting, and then, obviously that didn't happen, so you have those letdowns and you go, oh, you're fighting Rashad now. And, if it happened again, it just knocked you down a little bit mentally. And so for me, I go in there, I pretend like this is just another fight, your first fight. a win streak or anything like that. I'm not looking at like, oh, I got to make this 6 in a row or anything like that to up my chances of a title shot. You know, we've seen, like you said, crazier stuff happen. We've seen last couple guys get title shots off of losses, you know, and so, you know, potentially you can go in there and lose a fight and
Yeah, that's right.
the title.
That's the silver lining.
So I stopped worrying about it.
I got to tell you, and I don't know if you'll appreciate this, but it was a lot of fun just watching you, observing you, listening to what you had to say in Houston because, man, the chip on your shoulder, I like that stuff. I like when someone's a little riled up and wanting to prove to the world and shutting up the doubters. Have you ever felt that way before a fight before, looking back now?
No, not too much, you know, because I've never had people really kind of talk like, you know, he was talking, Cormier were talking, you know. You know, I kind of felt like I was a butt of their joke between those two, you know.
Yep.
Because they're all buddies and whatnot. And so basically it's just like a lack of respect. You know, I can take the smack talk and, you know, I don't care about that. But there's certain things like, you know, Cormier said it too. That's why I got pissed off is I'm not easiest fight in the division, you know. And then Rashad was copycatting that and all that kind of stuff. And for me, it's I feel like every time I go out there, I have to prove something because whether it's fans or the other fighters that I'm going to fight potentially or I'm scheduled to fight, there's always an excuse of why I won. You know, there's, Rashad's been out for 2 years, you know, fight before. Oh, he had a bad weight cut. Or there's always something of why I won. So I just want to keep this rolling and just keep proving people wrong. That's what I love about it.
Do you feel like because a couple of your losses, which are now, you know, your last loss was to Glover Teixeira over 2 years ago, and prior to that you beat Matyushenko in dominant fashion, but do you feel like because you've had some of those losses early in your career that were somewhat spectacular, highlight reels for the other guy, that you've been forced to work extra hard to erase that memory for people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you go back, people still talk about Tito Ortiz. You know, oh, Ryan's put a great streak together, but he still lost to Tito. He sucks, you know. And so, you know, that's always there. And if you look at my losses, you know, I've lost to John Jones, which pound for pound one of the best fighters out there.
Yep.
You know, I've lost to Machida back when Machida was rolling, you know, and, I lost to Tito. And when I fought Tito and Jones, yeah, I was a kid then. I was a totally different fighter now, you know, and then I lost to Glover. You know, those 4 losses, looking back, you know, 3 of them were, you know, the championship material, tour champions, and, you know, the 3 of them were champions at one point, and Glover, you know, fought for the title, and he's a beast, you know, and so I feel like I get a little lack of respect, mainly from that Tito fight for sure.
On the flip side, though, I kind of feel like what Phil Davis did in Bellator recently upped your stock, gave you a little more respect. Like people were like, oh, Phil Davis is capable of this. Then that win, you know, while it was close, looked a lot better in hindsight. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, you know, Phil's one of those guys. He's tough. He's a tough guy to get a hold of, and people don't realize that until they actually fight him. You know, Brian Sin was there, and you know, he's fought him obviously, and he knows. And so he told me, he goes, don't let anybody take anything away from you with that win, because I've been in there with Phil, and he's a weird guy to fight, get a hold of, you know, and just his motion and everything. And, you know, so I definitely think that, you know, up my stock and obviously up Phil's stock, you know, so that, you know, that's always good. But, you know, for me, I guess it's going out there and beating Rumble that, you know, I see more respect now, especially from the fans. You know, I got this win streak going, and, you know, even if they might not like my fighting style or whatever, you know, they respect that, you know, I'm keeping my head down and taking these fights and going through it. And, you know, and you kind of have people on your side a little bit when, you know, you keep getting passed over, you know. And so, you know, for me, I think it's that beating that number 1 guy, that number 2 guy, that's going to garner me the respect, and, you know, say, okay, now he really deserves that shot, and you know, he can do it.
I feel like you've been asked this before, but considering the era that we're in these days, things have changed clearly. Is it not important? Like, you can't just beat Rumble at this point, right? You have to, especially like you see what Glover did to Pat Cummins. The highlight, the crazy finish, it means more than just the W against, you know, who you picked it up. Do you have to do something spectacular on the 30th in order to 100% ensure that you are getting that title shot? Is that what you're thinking?
See, I feel like I'm kind of like in a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenario here, because you're going out and fighting Johnson. We know what he has. He's explosive. He hits hard. Especially the first round, he's going to come out, blazing. And be fighting him at any other time or any time, really. The game plan, go in there, get him down, do what Cormier did to him, And so I go out there and I'm on him. I'm making carry weight. I'm taking him down. If I don't finish him, then it goes back to again. Well, that's however many decisions in a win. It wasn't a spectacular fight. So no, we're going to put whoever in, in a title shot. So I feel like I'm in that kind of corner right there. It might, I'd be dumb to go out there and stand toe-to-toe and trade with him in the first couple of minutes, and so I feel like I'm in a weird place right there. But, for me, I don't even really care right now. I'm going to go out there and do what I need to do to go out there and win. And I can go from there, the next fight or whatnot. I can start fighting for going out there and throwing my wrestling away and just start banging with guys, But I'm 5 fights. I've won 5 fights in a row. I'm right there. This is what I train for. I've been taught my whole life to go out there and win at all costs.
Yeah.
And so that's my mentality right now.
Very few people in the history of the sport can say they've won 5 in a row in the UFC, but when it's all said and done, if you never do get that title shot, will your career feel incomplete?
No, it won't. I've had a blast. I've got to travel the world. I fought in Australia a couple of times, Japan. I fought in front of new crowds. It's taken me, like I said, different places. I've met awesome people. Last week somebody sent me something on Twitter as far as like the stats in the light heavyweight division. I'd never even looked at those, and I didn't even know they had them. And so I started looking at them, and it's crazy to kind of look back because I feel like I'm new in the sport still. And I almost have, as many fights. I'm like number 3 as far as like been around as far as like different stuff. And looking back, holy crap, I've been around for a while, and I've had a great time. And I feel like right now is the closest I'm going to get as far as I'm 32 years old. I can probably make one more run or something, if you take a loss. But if you start to take a couple losses in a row, that's what I'm talking about, going out there and fighting for the fans and making it fun. But if I don't get it, I'm still happy with myself because I know I've been in there. I gave it my all. There's nothing more that I can do.
Anthony Johnson told the media and the fans in Brazil this past weekend that he's going to take your soul. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, well, I want to do the same thing. My game plan is to go in there and make him quit. Do what DC did to him. He was been chatting on Twitter. Trying to get me to respond to him back, and I wasn't going to let him and his camp dictate what we're going to do in our fight. He keeps saying I got to beat a top 3 guy, or I haven't beat anybody to deserve or warrant a title shot. When these other guys are just getting thrown in off of losses and stuff. So it is what it is. It's I'm not going to sit there and start to smack talk again. But I'm going to go in there. I'm going to try to do the same thing. I'm going to try to get him to quit. I'm going to try to just wear on him, get him down, and eventually finish him.
Do you feel like this is another guy though that deep down doesn't really have all that much respect for you?
Yeah, just some of the stuff he's saying, and it could be the whole thing with him and Rashad are good buddies.
That's right.
And all that, and I've known Rumble like from back in the day where we tap out. He's a wrestler. I like the guy, but it comes back down to the same thing of me. I just saw an article today or something about Vader looked like Vader. It's just a lack of respect. And I don't care. I like that because I get to go out there and prove people wrong. And if I get to do that every single time, my opponent, the fans, or whatnot, then that's what I'm going to do. I like being in that position. I'm a big underdog in this fight. I love being in that position. And I love prove people wrong and prove myself right and my coaches.
Is it hard not to respond when they're trying to bait you?
Yeah, exactly. When they came out on tour, I was actually in Mexico. I was on vacation, and I came back, and my phone was like blowing up on social media, like, "Oh, you didn't respond. You're being a pussy," all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going to just fall into get baited into when. First off, I don't know what's going on with this this title shot, and they haven't came out and said anything. So I was going to wait and do it on my terms, my own terms. He wants to fight me. I have a 5-5 win streak. I'm the quickest way to the title. If he beats me, then, he's right there. I'm ranked number 3 right now, and he's fought Gustafsson already, so of course he wants to fight me, and then, but Jones coming back makes it more palatable because it's Jones, and he's going to get the title shot. That's fine. When it's somebody like Gustafsson, that's a little harder, and so we knew if that was happening, we're going to take a fight, and then we knew it was going to be Rumble, and so when we found out for sure, said, okay, let's do it, and then here we are.
Final thing, who do you think wins when Jones fights Cormier? And B of that question, who are you rooting for?
I'm not really rooting for anybody, because number one, I would love to get in there with Jones again. He's a beast. They're both beasts, but Jones been run through everybody, and I want to get that fight back, and I want to fight him again. And then obviously I want to fight Cormier. We've been through that a million times.
Yeah.
What we have, and so that would be nice to finally actually do it with Cormier and do it with for a title shot. With that being said, who's going to win? Cormier has obviously grown throughout his being a champion. Going through those 5-round war with Gus is going to make him that much better when that happens again with Jones, or if that happens again with Jones. And going out there and being smart and beating Anthony Johnson. And then it's where Jones is at. It mentally. Supposedly he's in the gym more and all that kind of stuff, and time off could be good for some people or it could be bad. He could come in refreshed, wanting to train, wanting to get better, and having that fire to compete, or it could do the opposite. Some people need that chaos in their life, and the stuff he was doing and all that kind of stuff, and some people need that, to either take not the attention, but that little stress off of it and everything like that. And so it really depends on how he comes back. If he's fired up, wanting to go, it's hard not to say that Jones wins.
Ryan, a pleasure as always, my friend. Looking forward to it. Always great when the UFC comes very close to where I live, so I'm very excited about that. And it's a big fight for both of you. Ryan Bader, Anthony Johnson, live and free on Fox, January 30th from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Looking forward to it, as I said. Ryan, thank you very much for the time once again.
Thanks, buddy. Of course, anytime.
All right, there he is, Ryan Bader. Huge fight for him if he beats Rumble Johnson in around 2.5 months. It's going to be hard to argue against him finally deserving that title shot.